Difficult is it to reach those in need? Well, joining me now is Jens Pedersen from Doctors Without Borders. Good to have you back in the studio, sadly for yet another devastating disaster.
Thanks for
What's the
having me.
situation at the moment?
Well, as we've seen in the build-up now, it's the scale of just how big this humanitarian disaster is only slowly becoming aware to all of us. And it's only becoming aware to us now because it is so difficult to reach some of these areas. As you've seen in the footages, roads, bridges, infrastructure has been decimated. So as much as we know that it's an incredibly large humanitarian crisis, we're also seeing that it's a crisis now with still a lot of silent victims because we cannot reach them.
And, I mean, any sort of idea what they are enduring there? Has word been getting out to you and what their needs are?
So the most immediate needs in a situation like this is, of course, to treat the wounded that may have sustained injuries. The hospital in Bayer, for example, have over the past week treated more than 1,500 patients already. But clinics, hospitals are also affected by this disaster, so that's another sort of additional challenge that comes on all of this. Clean water is going to be one of the key challenges in all of this. We have been told, or we worried, that there's less than 3 days of clean water available in Beira city. And of course, lack of clean water, the floodings in general, comes with a long list of risks of potential waterborne diseases.
Yes, I was going to ask you about those. I mean, because that's always just one of the nasty effects and hangers-on whenever there's a lot of water.
It is. It's something I mean, everyone is including ourselves and Doctors Without Borders, doing all of the assessment now, getting on the ground. Our teams are operating both as doing assessment and then trying to rehabilitate clinics. So at the same time as we can. So we had teams in some of these locations, both in Malawi and in Mozambique and in Zimbabwe already. And for the past 24 hours ago, a team of at least half a dozen experienced emergency responders have arrived, and are doing everything they can to both assess, because we have to make sure we respond where the needs are greatest, but at the same time, we have to start deliver some services because the needs are incredibly high.
And how long do those have in these far-flung places? And any idea about how quickly people will be able to get there?
Well, at the moment, we are only reaching certain areas by boats and by helicopter, which is incredibly cumbersome. We will hopefully, I would say within the next week, have a much clearer idea and just how extensive it is, and on top of that also be able to assist some of the people and it's a lot of people yet, Jane, that we have not been able to reach. We as Doctors Without Borders, as was mentioned by the UN, we are scaling up, we are sending massive supplies, I no doubt that this is an absolute catastrophe.
And what sort of injuries are people suffering from? I should imagine many must have been hurt by buildings collapsing, the great gush of water.
Yes, so in sort of the immediate stage, you do see people with trauma injuries, whether it's from falls, whether it's from things having fallen or hit them. And then, of course, you have all the more secondary effects, which either relate to the lack of clean water, but also people who otherwise would have gone to the clinic or hospital a normal day no longer have a clinic and a hospital to go to. So there are all those needs as well, whether it's our patients that we've treated for HIV in the past. They still need to continue to get their medicine. Whether it's a mother who have to deliver, she's still going into labor, whether the floods are there or not.
And what are you expecting? Because we hear that more floods are on their way. So how do you prepare for something like that?
That's a very good question. I mean, the heavy rains have continued, which is one of the challenges. And the Mozambican authorities communicated today that some of the dams are now so full that they might have to release water in order to prevent the dams from bursting. And that is only It's a very sort of logic and very understandable conclusion, but it's of course only going to increase potentially the areas that will be flooded.
And what are you hearing about the movement of people, those who've been taken away from danger zones? What sort of conditions are they staying in?
So, I mean, people have, as you can imagine, when you've been taken away with only what you have and not without anything to even carry, people are in conditions of dehydration, they are in incredible emotional shock. If you've been in the water for a long time, that comes with certain medical conditions and challenges as well. People are in incredibly precarious situations, and the lack of food, the lack of clean water is only going to exacerbate that.
All right. Jens Pedersen, thank you very much for talking us through what it is that you're experiencing, and I'd like to get an update with you very soon again. Thank you. International Travers Weather's update next, and then why do so many HIV/AIDS patients stop taking their drugs? We speak to the Health Department and the US Global AIDS Coordinator.